What up, Hype Squad? It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. And if you are new to the page, welcome to exceedthehype.com. To join the Hype Squad, click subscribe, alright? So today's video is about Dwyane Wade. None other than the legendary Dwyane Wade. So, Dwyane Wade and the Chicago Bulls reached a buyout earlier today. And the terms of the agreement, he was due almost $24 million. It was exactly $23.8 million was what he was going to get paid this year. Remember, earlier in the summer, he opted into the contract, of course. Got to get his money. And he agreed with the Bulls front office today for a buyout for $8 million less than his full contract. So somewhere around $16 million is what he ended up taking up front in cold hard cash. And for his freedom, basically, to be a free agent, to be able to choose whatever team he wants to play for. Now, the timing of this was very predictable. Training camp starts next week. He wants to be able to be free so he could join his team and be there for the whole camp. Doesn't want to join the team a month in or whatever the case may be, or 2 months in or anything like that. And the team obliged him, so kudos to the Bulls for that, even though I can't say kudos too much because they offered him a contract and didn't really live up to it or whatever. He gave back $8 million, but whatever. So people are saying that he will likely take a while to mull over his options and things of that nature. I don't think so. I think we'll get a decision probably tonight or tomorrow or something like that, because training camp has started. I'm sure he wants to go ahead and join his team and start, focusing on how to possibly win a championship. The question comes into play, what does Dwade bring at this point in his career? What does he bring to the table? He's an old guy, he's 35 years old. What does he bring to the table? Well, I'll tell you what he brings to the table. The one aspect that he brings is leadership, right? He is a great leader in the locker room, on the court. He's somebody, if you have a team full of young players, he can be a mentor to the young players. If you have a team full of veterans, he can still be a leader amongst the veteran squad. He's just like that leader, that alpha dog type of personality. And then he's a very likable personality. And then at the same time, he just provides you leadership for your team, which is an important thing. Another thing he brings to the table that he developed later on in his career, the improved three-point shooting. Earlier in his career, he was not really known as a three-point shooter. If he was open for three, sometimes you can live with that because he was a pretty inconsistent three-point shooter, or whatever the case may be. But now, I'm starting to notice that he's becoming more and more reliable from the arc. Last year, especially in the playoffs or whatever, when he was open, he was draining that thing almost every time or whatever. If I look up the percentages, I'm sure it's somewhere around 43% or something like that is what he shot from the three-point line, whether in the playoffs or late in a regular season. So he does bring that kind of shooting guard who can actually spread the floor, who can actually shoot threes at a high clip. So he brings that as well. He also brings playmaking and ball handling skills. So he's somebody who can double as a point guard. He has, the ball handling skills and the playmaking skills to kind of lead your offense in spells. So if you're in a situation where your point guard is off the floor and you don't want LeBron wasting his energy, bringing the ball up court and getting the team into the set, Dwyane Wade could also do that. I'm saying, I'll obviously assume, just taking the Cavaliers for an example. Dwyane Wade is the type of guy who can also get your team in the offense or whatever, and who can also bring the ball up the court and things of that nature. So he brings that, another ball handler. He also brings very smart defense and very clutch defense. Like, he makes very clutch defensive plays. He's a gamer type, so he's the type who kind of gets up more as the importance of the game, increases or whatever. So I will remember, and this is recent history, when the Heat played the Charlotte Hornets, who had a pretty good season that year. That's the year they had Jeremy Lin in the backcourt with Kemba Walker or whatever. And the Hornets had a series to try to win the game or whatever, and D-Wade just locked up freaking Jeremy Lin or whatever on the perimeter, and then he just made. I think he had also like a block from the weak side or whatever. He's just a very clutch defensive player or whatever. He's a gamer. He makes plays when it comes time for plays to be made. So that's another thing he brings, and he's a very smart defender as well. He'll get some blocks coming off the weak side and things of that nature. He's just a very smart defender and a very clutch defender. So the number one thing that D-Wade brings to your team, if he comes to your team as a buyout candidate or whatever, even though he's already received a buyout, he brings basketball IQ. D-Wade just knows how to play the game. He makes smart plays. He makes high basketball IQ plays all the time. The whole time he's on a court, your offensive awareness of the entire team raises a couple notches just because he's that smart of a player. So in today's NBA, where you have a lot of talented players, you have a lot of athletic players, you have a lot of skilled players, you still need some of those guys who just know what they're doing, know what to expect from a particular play set, know how to find a hole in the opponent's defense, just knows basketball at a high level, and D-Wade is one of those guys. So that's the number one thing he brings to the table. I personally believe that of the teams that will try to sign him, and what the teams that he will consider signing with, one of them being the Cavaliers, of course, the Heat. Their name is supposedly in the drawing. You have the Spurs, whose name is supposedly in the drawing, and then you also have OKC, who everybody claims could be one of the favorites or whatever. I think he's going to the Cavs easy. Number one, he played his best basketball, not his best basketball necessarily, but some of his most successful basketball playing next to LeBron James. He sacrificed his status in the NBA sort of for LeBron James to lead that team to two championships. He's very familiar playing off LeBron James. He's going to play with LeBron James. It's very unlikely. I can't really see him going to a different team. If he went to the Spurs, he's familiar with Popovich from Team USA and just from being familiar, but you never played for Popovich. You don't really know what it means to play for Greg Popovich. I don't think at this point in his career he'll take that risk. The Heat, there's home there. The Heat are home to him, but at the same time, they're not those guys anymore. Hassan Whiteside was a guy trying to make the roster when D-Wade was at the peak of his powers with the Heat, and Hassan Whiteside was getting cut and things of that nature. Now Hassan Whiteside is the guy. It's just very odd to try to slide up in there with what's going on with the Heat. And they're a young team. They really don't need Dwyane Wade. I doubt they'll be that interested in Dwyane Wade. It's just because that's the hometown. It's not his hometown, but it's where he played most of his career. OKC. Now, this is very interesting. OKC is doing a lot of risky things right now, and I totally believe they're totally going to go after Dwyane Wade, with as much power as they can. One thing, even though he has the well-documented friendship with Carmelo Anthony, he has not played with Carmelo Anthony during the regular season. He has not played with Paul George, and most importantly, he has not played with a ball-dominant guard like Russell Westbrook ever. So it's very unlikely that he's going to, risk that right now when you can just go to Cleveland real quick. You're already used to LeBron. It's going to be an even easier transition because Isaiah Thomas is going to be out for the beginning of the season, so that's one less ball handler. I think it's a very easy choice, and D-Wade going to play with LeBron is very good for LeBron. One thing I want to point out, LeBron does not compete very well against Dwyane Wade at all at this point. The last couple seasons, since he left the Heat, before he got to the Heat, they used to battle it out and they used to have classic battles and things of that nature in the regular season. They never played in the playoffs. He went to the Heat, they played together, they won 2 championships in 4 years, outstanding. LeBron left the Heat, went back to Cleveland. Every time they got spanked by Miami or Chicago or whatever. The reason why LeBron James does not compete well against D-Wade, and I think part of it, the reason may be is just he sees Dwyane Wade as, you know, Dwyane Wade gave up a lot for LeBron. He gave up his status in the NBA as a superstar kind of for LeBron James. So I think ever since that and ever since that experience they had together, LeBron, because you could tell during the games he's not playing like he normally plays. The intensity level is not there. He's like goofing around, even though they're getting blown out by in far inferior team. He's like goofing around with Dwyane Wade, laughing at the end of the game. He's sitting there smiling, joking with D Wade at the end of the game, even though they got whooped by 20 or whatever. He does not compete well against D Wade. So at this point, he really doesn't want him to go to OKC. He really shouldn't want him to go to OKC. He should want him to come to Cleveland so they can try to chase number 4, which we'll see what happens, all right? Leave your comments. Let me know what you think about D Wade being bought out. Let me know if you agree with my assessment of what he still has in the tank and what he brings to the table. As always, like the video with the thumbs up. If you enjoyed the content, leave comments and subscribe. Hype Squad, we're getting deeper, all right? See you next time.